Hey guys, I'm Jessie, and today I have a book review for you. The book I will be discussing today is The Rave by J.R. Trez. This is a self-published sci fantasy that I read recently and absolutely loved. And I wanted to talk to you guys about it because this book was just super cool and it needs more hype and more love and more people to pick it up. And one of my goals this year on my channel is to read more self-pub fantasy, hype it up, see what I can do, tell a couple people and see if you want to pick them up. Because like I've said before, self-pub fantasy doesn't get as much love unless it's like that one in a million gem that blows up on the internet and gets really big. There are so many of them out there that are fantastic that no one's talking about. So I'm going to be talking about them. And I'm going to set this down because it's not going to be one that I'm holding the entire video. So, The Rave is book 1 in a series, and book 2 is not out yet, but hopefully soon because I really want to know what happens. But in this book, we are following Alina. And Alina is this 17-year-old monster slayer. But she is an unregistered monster slayer. She's been trained by her grandfather, raised by him after her parents' death, and one day he just goes missing. He just ups and bounces. And she's kind of left on her own, no money, no job, and she's really struggling. And she struggles for an entire year with him gone, hoping he's going to come back and wondering if he's going to come back. And they even have a funeral for him without a body because they don't know. Is he dead? Is he gone? What has happened? So she's really struggling to just make it, just survive. And she's kind of hunting monsters as an unregistered monster hunter. And her cool thing about her is that she does not kill them. That is her, big moral conundrum, right? She will hunt these monsters, demons, and get rid of them when they're menacing and killing people, but she will not kill them. She instead traps them, things along those lines, because she is not a fan of killing stuff, which good for you, girl. Good for you. And in this book, we follow her and we find out that there is this monster that is just terrorizing the capital city of this planet that she's on. And this capital city is really cool. It is, if you can see it in the book, there's Earth and they call them Terries, and that's what she is. They live on Earth, but there are these people that kind of rule them that live in this big floating globe planet thing. And it's when you're standing here, you're looking up at the ground from Earth, it's trippy, right? So the bounty on this monster is massive because it's plaguing the capital, and there's not supposed to be anything bad that happens in the capital. So she sells everything, does what she has to do to get a fake license, travel to the capital, and take place in this, they called it a rave, which is this big organized monster hunt. And that is kind of where our story really takes off, as she enters this capital and she's just on her own trying to figure this out. This was such a fun story. It is YA, so it leans more towards the older side of YA though, in my opinion. It is not a YA book where there is a heavy romance, or our protagonist is not a Mary Sue. She's a badass, but she struggles with it and she works hard and she is not overpowered at all. And I really appreciated that, right? I think the lack of romance in this book, while there is little twinges of it, I really appreciate it because we ain't got time for that. Sometimes in these life or death kind of situations, we don't have time to meet Prince Charming and fall in love, and it's just, it wouldn't have fit. And I think the little bits and pieces that we potentially got were really well done. And so I call this a sci fantasy. What I mean by that is we have the fantastical elements, the demons and monsters, and there's dragons and things along those lines. But there is also a heavy science fiction-esque world. We have biomechanical like attachments for people, and there's a lot of references of like internet and internet culture and like the dark threads, which is very similar to the dark web. And I really appreciated that blending of science fiction and fantasy, and I thought it was done super, super well. We also get some really cool friendships. So our girl doesn't really have a lot of friends. Like she's kind of a prickly protagonist, and she doesn't trust people. But she does end up making some friends along the way, some very unusual friends, we shall say. And she kind of learns that at some points she has to put other people above herself. And while she's, you know, literally trying to like save herself and like find a way to survive in this world and, you know, save her grandfather's school and like have food and money so she can eat, she's also kind of discovering this like larger political plot and this larger just like plot at large. Like there's this overarching mystery of what this like monster is and what it wants. But then we also have like political machinations from ruling families. And these families, while they like invited these monster slayers in, they hate them. Like they do not like them. They feel like they don't need them. But they invite them in anyway because they kind of know they need them. And I really appreciated that. Like I just loved the little just intricacies of the politics of this world and just the bigger picture of it just outside of our main protagonist. And while this is not a perfect book, I gave it 5 stars. Like, I can't really find very many cons to it, except for the fact that I had some unanswered questions. And by the end of it, I had more questions. Even though I had some answers, I had more questions. But, I mean, isn't that how a first book in a series goes? It's like, you get some of your questions answered, but those answers lead to more questions. And you're like, okay, and? Like, I really need book 2. Because I feel like that obviously a lot of my questions will be answered further on in the series. And I just want to know what happens next. I had so much fun with this book. And I know this isn't like my typical review where I give like 3 pros and 3 cons, but really I just wanted to come on here and talk about it because it doesn't have very many reviews on Goodreads and it needs them. And it doesn't have very many reviews on Amazon and it needs them. And you should pick it up because it's fantastic. And if you do pick it up and read it, let me know because I would love to know what you think. And yeah, there's just a lot of really cool elements to this. Like, there is magic and technology, like, coexisting. Oh, and there's also, like, a creepy religious cult, and they hate everybody, and they hate magic, and, you know, I'm a big fan of creepy religious cults. For some reason, I love... That sounds really bad. I quite enjoy books with creepy religious cults. I like shows and movies, everything with creepy religious cults. I watch documentaries about creepy religious cults that like were actual things. So that might explain why I really liked the creepy religious cult aspect of this. And honestly, by the end, I was like, I need more because I got some questions. And then there's some reveals at the end that I was like, I was not expecting this. And I love that. I love when like I wasn't expecting the reveals. And I just think that makes it so much more fun because now I'm like scratching my head, wanting book 2, waiting for it. Like, it was just a good time. And I think if you like YA fantasy, you would enjoy this. I think if you like YA sci-fi, you would enjoy this. And I think if you like adult fantasy and sci-fi as well, you would also probably enjoy this because it leans towards the older side of YA in my opinion. It doesn't have a lot of those typical YA tropes that I think throw off a lot of readers. Like there's no love triangles, there's no like Mary Sue protagonist, like she's not super annoying, like she's a teenage girl but she's not super annoying, and there's no like real romance. And I really enjoyed it, and I think more people would enjoy it if they just took the time to pick it up and read it. So you can pick it up on Amazon. I'll have a link to it below if you want to grab it. There's also on Kindle Unlimited, so if you have Kindle Unlimited, pick it up. It's free on that. Like, you've already paid for the monthly subscription fee, so pick it up on your Kindle Unlimited because it's there. I saw it. But yeah, I loved this book. I definitely think that you should pick it up. I know this is not like one of my typical reviews. It's not very in-depth. It's not my typical pros and cons and like really thinking through it and being more objective. But honestly, I didn't want to be more objective with this. I wanted to just talk about my experience with it and how much fun I had and like some little plot points that I liked and not spoil it for you and convince you to pick it up. So if you were going to pick this up, let me know. I am excited to see more people read this. All right, well, my name is Jessie and I will see you next time. Bye.